It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another sneak peek breakdown for an upcoming episode of The Walking Dead. This is my sneak peek breakdown for the mid-season finale for Season 10, 10:08, which is called The World Before. They actually released 3 new sneak peeks. One is the opening, and there's 2 other sneak peeks. One comes from Talking Dead, and the other 2 were just released after that. But these are actually very, very interesting. Now, I will do a separate video talking about the Dante reveal and my full thoughts on that, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. But the only thing I would say is they partially answer or address some of the concerns that fans had after that episode in terms of, how did it happen? So I will talk a little bit about that, obviously in this sneak peek because it's here, but also I'll talk about that more in detail in the other video that I'm doing. So stay tuned for that. But the first one we're going to look at is actually a scene between Aaron and Gamma. They have a conversation. Gamma comes up to Aaron. Gamma says, "Is the baby still alive?" Referring to the baby that they rescued at Hilltop in Season 9. Of course, the baby is Gamma's nephew. That's why she's asking. That's why she's concerned. Or that's why she wants to know. And also, based on what happened last time, which is that she found out that Lydia is alive, she has a change of heart in a way. So that's also probably the reason why she thought of the baby and she wants to know about where the baby is. But Aaron replies, "The baby that was rescued at Hilltop, yes." And then Gamma says, "He's my nephew." And Aaron says, "Oh, I didn't know that." And then Gamma says, "Did you ever name him?" "My sister didn't. She couldn't." Now that's interesting and it's very important. She couldn't name the baby. So that pretty much reveals or hints that Alpha doesn't let the Whisperers name any babies that are born. That's extremely disturbing. And then Aaron responds, "The family raising him named him Adam. The family raising him were none other than Tammy Rose and Earl Sutton, the characters at Hilltop who obviously lost their son before they adopted the baby." So I thought that was very interesting. And then Gamma says, "Can I see him?" Aaron says, "Your people left her to die. Why would we ever agree to that?" That's a very good point. Gamma says, "Because we can trade. I have information for you." Now, I've talked about this before. There is 3 pieces of information that Gamma could potentially reveal. One is that she's going to help them and that she's going to act as a double agent for them. Or she could let them know about Negan being on the other side because they do know that he ran away from them and that he was a prisoner at their camp. The third thing that she could reveal is she could tell Aaron that Dante is a mole and he's at Alexandria. Now there's 2 reasons why I don't think that's information she has. One is that I don't even think anyone other than Alpha knows that Dante is a mole. I don't think any of the Whisperers really know that. So I don't think she even knows this information to reveal to Aaron. And the other reason, even if she does know, I don't see what it adds to the story because I think the survivors at this point would have already realized or found out that Dante was the Whisperer's spy. So I don't really see it adding anything to the story. Aaron says, "What is it?" And then Gamma says, "Promise me I can see him." Aaron says, "I won't promise you anything. I'll listen to what you have, see if it's true, and then we can talk." And then there's a scene I forgot to grab a screen cap of, but Gamma says, "He's the only family I have," something along those lines. And then Aaron says, "Well, then you better tell the truth without your mask." And that's when Gamma takes off her mask and reveals herself to Aaron. So that's very telling. So she's obviously being very genuine about this. And what happened with her finding out that Lydia is alive actually kind of changed her whole attitude. And she might actually be trying to help them at this point. And then Aaron looks at her, and then we have Gamma here. She says, "Before all this, my name was Mary." So she not only reveals her mask, but she reveals her true name. So that's pretty cool. That's the first sneak peek. The second sneak peek, which was on Talking Dead, is actually right after the scene that was at the end of the last episode, the cliffhanger. So at this point, Dante has already killed Siddiq. So Rosita hears something. She has the baby in hand. She says, "Siddiq, are you awake?" And then that's when Dante shows up and starts speaking to Rosita in Spanish. He says hola, which is obviously hello in Spanish. And this is where they start speaking in Spanish a little bit. So Dante asks, is everything okay? Rosita responds, yes, everything's okay. And then she says, I saw the light on. And that's when they go back to speaking in English, which is kind of weird. They go back and forth, but Rosita says Siddiq and I were talking about how he's not sleeping much. And then she says what's happening in Spanish again. And Siddiq replies in English saying, we're having a hot romance, didn't you know? Now at this point, I don't even know if he's putting on a show anymore or whether he's just a creepy guy in general. But then he laughs and then he says, no, we were just hanging out and he got called out. Something about Andy and Donna's kid throwing up. I didn't ask for details. So he's just making up an excuse why Siddiq is not there. Obviously, Siddiq is there. He's just dead. And then Rosita says, okay. Says, you just missed them. And then Rosita, she hears some zombie noises in the background. And it's obviously Siddiq. And then Dante says, can I help you with anything? And then that's when we get this shot of Siddiq, who is reanimated into a zombie now. So that's pretty cool. And that's pretty much the end of the second sneak peek. One thing I do want to mention is if you take a look at this shot, which was in the season 10 trailer, which is of Rosita with baby in hand crying, this is actually from the exact same location. I don't know if it's the same scene, but it's the same location in the house. Because take a look at here. This was the sneak peek, and this was what was in the season 10 trailer. It's the same exact spot. We do see the weird orange container in the background in both. So maybe at this point, Rosita sees Siddiq as a walker. Maybe Dante kills him. But then she starts crying or something like that. But I thought that was very interesting. Then that takes us to the third sneak peek, which is actually the opening minutes of the mid-season finale. And it's actually a flashback of Alpha talking to Dante before he infiltrated Alexandria safe zone. So Alpha says, I don't care if you're new to us. I don't care what your past was. We all have a past. None of that matters now. You did well at the barn. So obviously he was there at the barn and made Siddiq look when she decapitated the victims. So Alpha tells him, you did good at the barn. And then Alpha says, now I need something more. Eyes and ears inside their walls. So she's basically telling Dante that she wants him to be a spy for her. And then Alpha says, a kind of man they'll trust, practical, loyal, smart. So like I said earlier, a lot of this kind of addresses some of the issues we had with how Dante was able to infiltrate the camp and all. And then Alpha says, my daughter don't know you. So that's another part. So Lydia doesn't know Dante, and that's how this is able to work. And then that's when Dante smiles, and then Dante says, where should I start? Then we get some more flashes of Dante killing this survivor here. Not sure why he does this, but he kills the survivor, he grabs some stuff, and in the background Alpha says, find some strangers and join them. But I don't know why he would kill this random survivor to join his group, but maybe we'll get a reveal of that later. But then we have this shot of Dante. He has his Whisper mask and a Whisper skin thing on him. As he approaches a camp, he takes off his Whisper mask and his Whisper skin suit, and he throws it away and yells, help. And that's when the survivors hear him, and he continues yelling, help me. The survivors show up and kill the walkers and save him. And then we get this shot. So they are actually at Alexandria safe zone now. So Dante is here. He went to the Alexandria safe zone. This connects to what Alpha's saying. Alpha says, go to their gate. They won't turn you away. So they showed up at Alexandria safe zone and basically said they wanted to join. And then we get this shot of Dante in the infirmary. Siddiq right there to help him. So Siddiq says, how are you doing? Roll up your sleeve for me, please. And Dante says, oh yeah, sure. And then Siddiq says, there we go. And then we get this shot of Dante giving Siddiq this stare. So I think this is when he made up his mind that he's gonna be getting close to Siddiq. That's his strategy. In the background, Alpha says, make them think you are at home. And then we get this shot of Dante putting some messages on the trees for Alpha and the Whisperers to find. Alpha says they will forget who you were. So Dante puts the messages there. So these are basically explaining how Dante was able to communicate with the Whisperers. And then this shot, so it was Dante who put the Silence the Whisperers spray paint on the Alexandria safe zone walls and the ground and all of that. So he was responsible for the paranoia at Alexandria. And then Alpha says push quietly. And then we get this shot of drinkable, undrinkable. He made the residents of Alexandria drink undrinkable water that got them sick. So here's Dante screwing around with the water station. And then we get this shot of Dante actually killing the old woman at Alexandria who ended up dying. So she didn't die because she was sick. She died because Dante murdered her. So that's pretty brutal. And then we get this shot of Alpha again. Alpha says, do all this and they will welcome you home when they fall. And Dante smiles and Alpha says, you have a special place in my heart. And that's pretty much the end. So these 3 sneak peeks were absolutely great, I would say. And it gets me very excited for what we're going to see in the mid-season finale. Stay tuned for my in-depth video about the Dante reveal and everything I like and don't like about it. So that'll be coming up probably tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for daily uploads.